It's Movie Time is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1550 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. Further details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.com.
The award-winning It's Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to the shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Helmut Kremling.
And this is It's Movie Time. Helmut, there's a movie out called Boyhood, which I personally think could have been girlhood, parenthood, whatever. What do you think about this, the notion of having the same actors for 12 years? Does it work for you?
Well, not only does it work for me, it seems to work for all the critics and the film festivals, yes. Because I can't recall a film that has come into Columbus with more awards, higher praise than this film has. But yet I do want to say it's not totally original. Truffaut in 400 Blows followed the path of a young man from childhood to adulthood. But he did it in the course of 3 or 4 films, whereas Linklater does it in one film. And we follow the passage from Mason, the hero, from childhood to a young adulthood.
That's L.R. Coltrane. A young man goes from about 6 to about 18, and turns out to be, first he's a chubby, cute kid, and then he turns out to be a very lean, attractive young man, reminding me a little bit of your son, introspective, but charismatic, and anyway. So yeah, so we've seen them, and we see Ethan Hawke thickening a little bit, maturing a little bit as the father, and the wonderful Patricia Arquette as mother, who also changes over the course of the 12 years. So Richard Linklater, some of my favorite movies in the last few years have been his, and they've all been part of that trilogy, the Before Sunrise trilogy. Some of you will remember Hawke and Julie Delpy walk and talk in this movie, and since I'm a word person, I love it. It's all talk.
Linklater, I think Linklater is it?
Yeah.
Has chosen Ethan Hawke as his favorite actor.
It gotta be.
He's a very chatty, very intellectual type. Although in this film he plays an immature ex-husband who sometimes takes the kids on weekends, and he does the fun things he wants to do and not what the kids want to do. We remember a scene of when he thinks they're ready for some safe sex talk, and
yeah,
it's pretty awkward. The daughter is very embarrassed. The daughter, played by Lorelei Linklater.
Thank you.
His daughter.
Richard Linklater's daughter.
Right, and they're quite embarrassed. Then he takes them bowling. Then he takes them to a baseball game. And you know, Linklater, not only is he a great director, but he's also very lucky. Wouldn't you know it? Someone hits a home run at the Houston Astros baseball game. And of course, he's very lucky in the choice of the young actor Mason, who when we watch him, it's not as if we're watching a plot. We're watching the real life progress. And
in such as Michael Apted's Up, you might get you have the same people that he in that reality documentary. Now here you have the same actors, but you don't know what he's going to turn out to be, and you are so right. He is so lucky that this kid turns out to be so charismatic, and also he's fortunate in his choice of Ethan Hawke. Obviously he found out long ago that Hawke was going to be a reliable lead for him. And he does a wonderful job in this. And Patricia Arquette, the same way. Yeah. And Lorelei Linklater, whom you mentioned as the young daughter, was delightful as a young girl. Yeah. Just sassy, mouthy, smart.
She is that way initially, and then later on she seems to fade.
She does.
I think Linklater pays less attention to her. Oh. Because the young man is the focus of attention.
Definitely. Although I still feel her standing in the background watching and now and then commenting. She's like a constant as she grows up. And we even see her with her first boyfriend when she's 15. Very delightful. But most of this happens just the way it might happen in our families. That's the odd thing about it. Why wasn't I bored in this 3 hours? It was the fastest 3 hours I've sat through in a long time. Yeah, and I'm just, I was just absorbed by it.
Not only did the film seem to pass rapidly despite its 3 hours, we were still eager to find out more about Mason. We want to know what happens to him now that he's at college. What's going to happen to him? And I guess we'll have to wait 12 years to find out what will happen to him.
We were talking about Ethan Hawke's character, the father who was divorced and coming back into their lives and out, which has a pretty easy role of it, just to entertain the kids. But he does make some connections. And he has one of the best lines I've heard in years when he talks to his son. Two lines, one of them you see in the trailer, which is the son wants, what do they call them, those
bumpers?
When he's bowling, he wants bumpers so he can get a better shot. And Dad says, life doesn't give you bumpers, which is the kind of homespun. But he does say one thing that I can't forget, and I caught that for my written review. I put it, I think, right at the lead. We're all just winging it. Which is, anybody who's been a parent or people who love family and try to keep it connected, what is a better motto than we're all just winging it?
Even the mother at times wings it, but she does the heavy lifting in raising her two children.
She does.
And the children, I think in the DNA of children, there's something that causes them not to totally appreciate what their mothers do for them until they're older.
You got it.
And that happens in this film as well.
Arquette's mom makes a couple of bad choices in husbands after she and Ethan Hawke have divorced. She then has a college professor who turns out to be a drunk, and then another kind of robust veteran who seems to be engaging and good, but then he turns out also to be a drunk. So she's made a couple of bad choices with that.
I wonder. I've been thinking, how can I possibly, as a film critic, find flaws in this film that were the usual suspects from New York to Los Angeles have called it one of the most extraordinary films of the year.
Yes.
They've called it beyond magnificent. They've just about awarded it various Oscars before the Oscars come out. How can I find flaws in the film? And if I can find flaws, and I had to do some work to find some, is in the portrayal of the mother. I think she doesn't get enough credit for the extraordinary work she does in raising her children, and Linklater saddles her with horrible choices in future husbands.
Thank you. Yes.
I mean, one husband is a maniac.
Yeah, he's abusive, he's violent, and you don't necessarily know he's a smooth college professor, something like you, where you wouldn't know right away. He just charms the heck out of her in the classroom, and they marry, and then eventually he becomes very destructive.
Right.
And in both, but she kind of follows a pattern. She's a bit clueless in her choice of men. Even with Ethan Hawke as Dad, he's a boy riding around in his GTO, and she's a woman on her way. She's smart. She does consistently have flaws in her decision about her men, which is what I like. But also have to agree, he saddles her with the emotional heaviness of this film.
Right. And so I think he's not quite fair to the mother figure in this film, but that's his choice.
That's right.
And can we criticize it? Well, I choose to find it as a flaw.
Sure.
Right.
There are those out there who will perhaps object to the fact that we once more have deified young men, boys, as if they were the only thing worthwhile in our culture. And I realize there are some culture for whom having a boy is the ultimate gift from gods. And so what are we doing? We're calling Boyhood. Once again, we're fixing on a young man. And I have no counter to that. I would have liked to have seen Linklater's daughter. I would like to have seen more of her. She had a great deal of promise. I would have liked, as you said, to have more emphasis, to flesh out even more the Patricia Arquette mom. In other words, I would have liked it to be, as I said in the beginning, parenthood. So I'm conscious of the fact that once again, we have glorified a young man. But if I, as a critic, always go in and say, I will go wherever that director wants me to go. Wherever he wants to take me, all I'll be here to say is how well he does it. And with the boy-centered, man-centered world, he does a magnificent job. And I believe the magnificent job he does is taking the most mundane of events in life, picking them, stringing them, and making them interesting. And here's what I think, and I'll shut up, I get going on it, because I do think it's probably the best film of the year for me. I do think it's a way for us, at least for me, to look over my life as a father, and to look at the moments that he had and see, did I have those moments with my kids? Did I have that moment with my son? And I may have. I wish to have them again, of course. But it makes me reassess my own life, more even than the lives I'm seeing on that screen. I say, oh yeah, I do remember when I was divorced. I do remember when my son and I went camping. And so that's where the brilliance, I thought, came. It drew me right into the screen for the 3 hours.
Yeah, and I think the divorced aspect that we both can relate to is also something that Ethan Hawke and Linklater related to, because they are children of divorced parents. Yeah, yeah. We follow the arc of this tale, and we're really are taken in. But the fact that he concentrates on the boy is I think in his background. One of his best films is Dazed and Confused, the coming of age film, which Tarantino calls one of the best films ever made.
Thank you.
And so it continues that he seems to have a bias toward following the path of the male figures.
And you're reminding me that Linklater's strength also, as I consider the Before Sunrise trilogy, is in conversation, is in talk, and taking ordinary conversation and somehow elevating it, the kind of conversation we all might have, not terribly literate, but at least smart, and at least appropriate for that time and place. And he takes that and he makes me truly interested in hearing what they have to say about life and how they're watching life go through. And in the end, I quote Andrew Marvell, the Quiet Mistress, "At my back I always hear time's winged chariot hurrying near." Oh. This is as much about time as it is anything.
Yeah, it really is about time. I consider this film almost sort of an Austin, Texas new wave film by an American director, as opposed to Truffaut's new wave.
Thank you. Yeah.
400 blows.
Yeah.
It is captivating, even though there are no extraordinary plot things that happen.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Nothing cataclysmic. You know how anybody who is scripting something might want to have a big conflict and then a precipitous denouement, or however you would craft this fiction. Linklater seems to just take it as life gives it. To most of us, we just go along, and there's nothing that's really to get divorced, perhaps the most serious thing that happens to us. But Helmut, obviously, we have an idea what grade I might award this film, so I'm going to go first. And I'm going to tell you that I'm awarding this a solid A. Helmut, this is called, the title of our movie is called Boyhood. The director is Richard Linklater, and Helmut Kremling. Professor, sir, what grade would you award this film?
Well, I recognize the achievement of Linklater in this very unique, original film, which is endearing, captivating, but I still can't help but find it to be flawed in the portrayal of the mother and the lack of appreciation for her, and also saddling with her with these poor choice of husbands. The one of the most positive moments in this film is really a cliche. The Latino whom she has encouraged to go on for an vacation.
Yeah.
He comes in and thanks her. But she didn't really do much for him. She one sentence, she didn't take him to the college, she didn't help him enroll, and yet it's the most positive thing Linklater has to say about her. And I found that to be somewhat unsatisfying, and therefore I give it an A with a minus attached.
I knew you would. I knew you would. However, Dr. Sir, for both of us, I think there have been many students in our lives for whom we dropped a word or two, whatever, that changed their lives.
I hope so.